Tell me about your family. It sounds like a simple request, but if you've ever tried answering it in English, you know it's not always so easy, especially if you want to say more than just, I have two brothers. Today, I want to go a little deeper than we usually do. Not just names and ages, but real descriptions, personalities, relationships, memories, even the complicated parts of family life. This is A2 to B1 level, so we will use a few more connected sentences, a little more detail, and sub-past tense storytelling too. Let's begin. I want to talk about my family in a bit more detail than usual, because family is complicated, interesting, and honestly, one of my favorite topics to talk about. Let me start with the basics. There are 4 people in my immediate family. My parents, my younger sister, and me. But if I include my grandparents, my aunts, uncles, and cousins, my family becomes much bigger, probably around 20 people, if we all got together at once, which doesn't happen very often anymore. Let's start with my parents. My father is 56 years old, and he has worked as an engineer for almost 30 years. He is a quiet man, not someone who talks a lot, but when he does say something, it's usually worth listening to. Growing up, I didn't always understand him. He wasn't the type to say, I love you directly, but he showed it in other ways, like always being the one who picked me up when I needed a ride, no matter how late it was. My mother is completely different in personality. She's warm, talkative, and incredibly social. The kind of person who makes friends with strangers at the grocery store. She used to work as a nurse, but she retired a few years ago. And now she spends most of her time gardening and visiting her own mother, my grandmother, almost every day. Now, my sister. She's 3 years younger than me, and honestly, we didn't get along very well when we were kids. We used to argue about everything. Who got the front seat in the car? Whose turn it was to choose the TV show? Small things like that. But as we got older, something changed. Once we both moved out of our parents' house, we actually became close friends. Now, we talk almost every day, even though we live in different cities. I also want to mention my grandmother, because she has had a huge influence on my life. She's 82 years old, and she still lives independently, which honestly amazes me. She grew up in a very different time, without the technology, the opportunities, or the freedom that my generation has. Whenever I visit her, she tells me stories about her childhood, about difficult years, about starting a family with very little money. Those conversations taught me about more resilience than almost anything else in my life. Sadly, my grandfather passed away about 5 years ago. It was a difficult time for the whole family, especially for my grandmother, since they had been married for over 50 years. But even now, we talk about him often. Funny memories, mostly like the travel jokes he used to tell, or how he always burned the food whenever he tried to cook. I also have a large extended family, aunts, uncles, and cousins, but I have to admit, I am not equally close to all of them. Some cousins I talk to regularly, almost like siblings. Others I only see once a year, at a wedding or a holiday, and honestly, our conversations can feel a little awkward because we don't really know each other's daily lives anymore. I think that's actually a pretty normal part of having a big family. You're close to some people, distant from others, and that's okay. Family isn't about being equally close to everyone. It's about the relationships you actually invest time in. If I'm being honest, family life isn't always easy. There have been disagreements, periods when family members didn't speak to each other for a while, misunderstanding that took years to resolve. Every family has some difficult history, I think, and mine is no exception. But even with all of that, when something important happens in my life, something good or something hard, my family is who I call first. That to me is really what family means. Not perfection, but the people who show up again and again. Even after disagreements, even after distance, even after years passing by. That's a little bit about my family, who they are, and what they mean to me. And honestly, they're complicated, imperfect, but important relationships that shaped who I am. And thank you for listening. So, that's my family. Not a perfect picture, but a real one. Notice the structure I used throughout. Simple facts first, like age, job, relationship. Then deeper description, like personality and feelings. And finally, a short story or memory to make each person feel real. Not just a list of facts. That structure works for almost anyone you want to describe in English. Not just family members, but friends, coworkers, anyone. I also used a bit more connected language than usual. Words like although, even though, honestly, and if I'm being honest, which help ideas flow together more naturally at this level. Now it's your turn. Try describing one family member using that same structure, basic facts, personality, and one short memory. And if this episode helped you, give it a like and subscribe to English DeepCast for more real natural English practice. And tell me in the comments who has had the biggest influence on you in your family, and see you in the next one.